carry.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Sunny and I are joined by Team Liquid's Piglet after their victory, a very nice victory at that. So much hard work you guys have put in this year, a lot of stress as well. We've seen, from you, Piglet, as these games play out so well and just don't seem to go your way in the end. How is Liquid kind of looking at these games where you've had such a lead and then things kind of fall to the wayside? Because it looks to be fixed.
이번 시즌 전에 경기들을 보면은 조금 스트레스풀한 경기들이 많았는데 이길 뻔하다가 진 경우도 많았고요. 그 경우에는 이제 게임들 나중에 뭐 같이 리뷰하면서 어떤 식으로 뭐 그 연습을 한다든지 그 개선하는 방향이 있었나요?
우선 로코가 들어오면서 저한테 부탁한 게 있는데 그게 뭐냐면 저한테 우선 제가 팀원들한테 대하는 태도도 바꾸고 코치님한테도 대하는 태도로 바꾸면은 자기가 이 팀을 최고의 팀으로 만들어주겠다고 해서 저도 최대한 팀원들한테 잘하려고 노력도 하고 있고 그 로코 코치님이 하는 말을 지금 다 애들이 잘 듣고 있어가지고 좀 잘해지고 있는 것 같아요.
So Loco asked me one thing when I joined the team. He asked me to fix my attitude towards coaching staff and the players. So I try to improve on that, and I think I'm getting better just towards other players and coach.
And that's actually my second question. Team Liquid last year, everybody is kind of well-versed in their roles and whatnot. This time, you brought a few up from the Liquid Academy team. How has it been playing with the new players, with Lorlo and Dardoch?
그 새로운 그 플레이어들 좀 받았잖아요. 그 아카데미 팀에서 그 선수들이랑 같이 경기하는 게 어땠고 뭐 좀 얘기 좀 해주세요.
우선 샘은 굉장히 메카닉적으로 좋은 선수인데 아직 팀 게임을 아직 잘 모르는 선수여서 팀 게임만 잘 가르친다면 굉장히 잘할 선수고 달덕은 이제 굉장히 잘하지만 좀 약간 태도 면에서 안 좋은 면들이 있어요. 근데 그거를 고치고 있고 그 맥 같은 경우는 애가 굉장히 잘하는 선수지만 가끔씩 이제 막 핑계를 댄다고 해야 된다 그런 게 있어가지고 그거를 최대한 고치고 있어서 네, 맨날 한 주 한 주 지날 때마다 선수들이 잘해지고 있는 것 같아요.
So Sam has really good mechanics, but he needs to work on kind of like on team play. And Dardoch is also a really good player. A little attitude issues here and there, but he's fixing those issues. And then finally, Matt has sometimes makes excuses, but he's working on that too.
Well, it's awesome to have a world champion right there alongside them to fix all of these things. My final question for you, Piglet. Next week, a very big week. Nobody has taken down Immortals yet. Will you be the team to take down Immortals?
Immortals 팀에 대해서 어떻게 준비하고 계신가요?
사실 제가 볼 때는 저번 주에도 저희 팀이 그렇게 큰 실수를 안 했으면 이겼을 것 같았는데 너무 실수를 많이 해가지고 진 것 같아요. 근데 저희가 이모탈이랑 스크림 할 때도 스크림 성적이 나쁘지도 않고 그래서 저희가 실수만 안 한다면은 네, 저희가 무조건 이길 수 있을 것 같아요.
So last week we lost because of some poor plays and mistakes. And honestly, when we scrim against Immortals, I think we do okay. So I think if we don't make any big mistakes, we're going to win.
All right, Piglet, thank you very much for the interview. Congratulations, Sunny. Thank you for translation. And we're now going to throw it over to the analyst desk to break down the rest of that game.
Thank you very much, Riv, Sunny, and Piglet. Team Liquid snagging a victory there, and Dom said it in the cast, Seda said it in the cast, that they ended it relatively cleanly. Yep. A person that I want to pinpoint right off the bat, though, is Phoenix, and I want to talk about him pretty thoroughly in this postgame, only because I think coming into this season, all eyes were on Phoenix and Piglet, saying these are the two guys who are the mainstays of the roster. Well, Dominate was there at the very beginning of the split, but these are the two guys who are going to have to lead these rookies, these newer players through the season. And Piglet had been performing well in the losses, but a lot of criticism was being thrown Phoenix's way for not having put up the kind of performance that, netted him that 1-2 slot for mid laners in NA of Summer Split.
Yeah, which is interesting, right? He had some highlightable misplays, which I think underrated his stock a lot, and he also didn't look very happy on the team, which I think contributed to it as well. But if we look statistically, actually, last year he was competing with Bjergsen for being like the highest damage mid laner in NA. This year, he's at 681 damage per minute before that last game, which is second in the league, with GBM being first. So his damages in fights has been huge. He hasn't even been getting the kills, and because he had the misplays, he's underrated. But honestly, I think Phoenix is actually still playing at a very high level.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that he hasn't been making too many flashy plays. He's playing things like Lux and the Corki recently, so he's not having these standout performances. Because before it was the Azir guy. We're seeing this guy like run in with Victor and blow people up, or have the Azir play where he's killing 4 dudes under a turret, and everybody's respecting him for that. And now he's kind of a backline player where he's not the one in the front that's outplaying people. He's actually being a consistent force on the team, and that might actually play into their advantage because we're not really paying attention to Phoenix. He's still dealing that type of damage, and you're focusing Piglet.
Right, the likes of Lux and Corki suggest that you're not going to get the flashy Azir plays, but the fact that he is pumping out the consistent damage, he is showing up to the team fights, is what ultimately is allowing them to net these wins. So I think that this game in particular, the 7-0-3 Corki, was a much more accurate representation of the actual level that he's playing at. Granted, it's against Renegades. And now this is kind of the next step of the process here. And talking about a victory by Team Liquid over Renegades, I want to transition over to the Renegades side. 1-9 now. Things are looking extra scary, especially given the fact that Echo Fox had a 2-0 weekend. Now all of a sudden, a team that you entered the week tied with is 2 games up on you.
And I think that that's pretty grim for Renegades. They're sitting there going, well, you know, if we beat them head-to-head, then we'll be able to have that and get a little bit higher in the standings and things will come together. Their roster is still a little bit in flux with what happened in the bot lane, and then they brought in flares in the top. So it's been up in the air for them. It's not been a good season for them at all. But Echo Fox are now finding their feet, and that's even scarier because they're about to get left in the dust.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's about Renegades being left in the dust, even with making the roster changes. Because if we think about the whole story of Renegades through the Challenger Series, boot camping in Korea for months before the season, but then they don't have freeze for a lot of it, and by the time they do get freeze, 2 other people are different. They have a different top lane or different support. So, like, the team is still in pretty big flux, and maybe they have some talent, but it's not showing through.
Right, and they've got, and at this point you got 8 games left, right? And we just mentioned there's that 2-game gap between the next team. Now all of a sudden that 7, 8, 9 spot is where it's looking extra competitive between these teams that are all resting around 6 wins. We've got the next 2 of them playing in our coming game, Dignitas versus Team Impulse.
Yeah, I also think there's actually some teams in that 6th place spot right now where the ones you're talking about, the 7, 8, 9, could actually sneak into that.
That's very true. Very true. Yeah, you've got Team Liquid 5-5 now matching energy with their loss today. I mean, that whole bunch of teams is definitely one that's going to be that we should rather be keeping our eyes on.
Yeah.
Back to the game, though. A somewhat tangential and comedic bit. We saw the Nautilus Malphite matchup in the top lane. We saw the Malphite come out with a very early Banner of Command, matched by Nautilus, Lorlo on that Nautilus, and then he comes back, he returns fire with the Zerat portal. I mean, what an itemization choice.
I personally love it. Like,
It's a common build.
I'm seeing it more and more. I saw it in solo queue. It was in Europe as well that you were talking about. Because of the current state of structures and the fact that a lot of them are weaker, the tier 2s are weaker, the tier 1s are weaker after you at the beginning of the game, that Zerat portal and Banner of Command are actually more effective against these turrets in terms of relative strength from before.
Yeah, and in the specific matchups, right? Nautilus into Malphite is the time where if you're Nautilus, you actually do the Banner Zerat build. I also like it on Nautilus. It is the highest resistance item you can buy in the game. No other item will grant you 120 resistances.
Total.
Add in armor and magic resistance, 60 of both.
Nice.
So it's also a good Udyr item if anyone wants to.
Naturally, yeah. Movement speed around turrets, and then just a ton of resist. It's a fabulous item for Udyr.
Beautiful.
That's why Jat's a fan of it.
I mean, you gank your lane, put down a portal.
No, it's, I mean, and there was a fantastic illustration of your point in that the Nautilus Malphite matchup is where you want to build it, and we saw it in the bottom lane. Granted, Team Liquid was ahead at this point, but Lorlo, with both of them having equal items essentially, was the one winning out in that matchup because Malphite has a much harder time clearing those waves. So just fun itemization all around, a very solid victory for Team Liquid picked up there. It's it might be panic time for Renegades moving into the latter half of the split. There's more love to go around, though, and this time it's from Kitsune, who's chosen Reignover to be their duo queue, or dynamic queue rather, not duo queue anymore. And they chose Reignover because I'd like to go on romantic roams with him through the enemy jungle as his support. I would too.
She like some danger there, the enemy jungle.
Exactly, living life on the edge, a little bit like
get that adrenaline
kind of scenario. I don't really know. Anyway, we've got one more game coming up, so stick around for Team Dignitas versus Team Impulse right after this break. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah!
Trying to do what he can, dodges the Cocoon. Piglet gets chunked out. He's still alive for now. He gets it, a double kill for Phoenix. Crumbs is caught by yet another hook, and they're going to pull Hakuho with a big knockup. Freeze is caught on the far side. Lurlo has got his sight sets on one person and one person only.
Player's going to make a play, though.
Pulls the trigger onto Phoenix, who's dropped low, but he's still alive. There's the Maw. It's a bounce house. Phoenix is still alive. He goes over the wall and back to get the kill. And they take the win 32 minutes in.